Welcome, everybody. It's Andrew Beach, Executive Coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster. And it's Career Happy Hour. Welcome. It's Friday. And as my friend Terry Smith used to say, well, I guess he just said it not too long ago. He called it cocktail hour. It sounds so sophisticated. So I don't know if that's on purpose or on accident. But let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat. It's good to see you. Hi, Robert. Oh, Terry is here. Hey, Terry. Good to see you. Welcome. There is a link in the chat. I put it on LinkedIn. Let me also put it here in YouTube land. If you want to come on live and get some coaching by me, answer any questions that you have regarding, career planning, networking, interviewing, whatever. I'm here to answer. It's been a good week, actually, in spite of all the news out there, prevailing misinformation and wisdom. There's a lot of people finding and securing opportunity. And so I wanted to start with a email. Well, actually, if you could please, I'd appreciate it if you click the share button down below. Put any questions that you have in the chat. I'm happy to answer, but there's a share button down below, and I'd appreciate you sharing this because every Friday, 3:00 p.m. Pacific time, most Fridays, I will be live here answering your questions. Now recognize, a couple weeks from today, I'll be on vacation. So I'll do a recorded session and I'll have that recorded session available. And you guys are welcome to show up, number one. And number two, interact in the chat. I really appreciate seeing everybody support each other here. This is a community, folks, and this community is here to support you. And when you look at your chat, I would encourage you to take a look at your chat and interact with each other, help each other out, connect with each other. Robert, do you know Mina? Mina, do you know Terry? Right? So connect with each other. Let's bring this community a little tighter together, shall we? But I did want to share with you, if I could, an email I just got this morning, which was so fantastic. There's a gentleman that reached out to me on LinkedIn here recently, and he needed some support with interviewing. Now, he had been through several interviews in the last 6 months and not secured any offers. He thought he'd been performing well, and it just sounded like he needed a little bit of adjustment. So he contacted me and actually underwent an interview intensive preparation service. If you're if you're looking for interview prep service, I do offer that. You can go to my website; it's out there. But I love getting emails like this, and I wanted to share this with you just as a way to celebrate today, to encourage you. Today's topic really is how to maintain positivity. How to maintain positivity when there's a pandemic, when there's Black Lives Matter, when there's a lot of unrest, when there's political strife, if you will. How do we as professionals, whether we're looking for work or whether we're trying to get a promotion of some kind, how do we stay in this thing and develop resilience? And some of that is, one of the things I think back now that when I was selling real estate, I worked or had a coach. His name is Mike Ferry. That was his organization. But one of the things he continually harped on, because of the amount of rejection you get in sales, which, hey, let's be honest, job search is a sales process. We have to sell ourselves in exchange for someone else's money. And if that's the case, then we need to run a highlight reel. Think of it like Sports Center, right? If you've ever watched ESPN, their Sports Center, they have like their top 10 or top 5 or whatever, the best plays of the day. How great would it be if everything we fed our mind was all of our successes, all of our wins, right? All the things that we did well, whether that's things we did in the past with our job or if it's a contribution we're making more recently. So let me read this. Andrew, how goes it? Hope all is well with you. So, I'll be an official Amazonian starting August 17th. They were blown away by my interview performance. Now, keep in mind, I'll just pause right there. This gentleman was actually a very articulate communicator. He was an expressive personality type, so he had no problem communicating. He just had a problem over communicating. Let's just put it that way. And I received an offer from them literally the next morning. I have you to thank for this, man. Seriously, I can't thank you enough for helping me to get prepped and ready to go for the interview loop. This opportunity is going to change things for my family that are immeasurable. I will refer anyone I know who is looking for interview coaching to you in a heartbeat, full stop. So so I don't say that to brag. Why do I say that? Because it makes me feel good. It makes me want to help you more. It makes me want to do things that are difficult so that I can get that kind of outcome again. So think about it from that perspective, is that if I have a series of these wins that I'm running as a reel nonstop on a daily basis, then I can stay engaged in the marketplace, right? I can reach out to somebody where it feels uncomfortable, because I remember that it worked that one time that I did it not so long ago. Okay. So again, if you're just joining us, this is Career Happy Hour. This is an opportunity for you to ask questions, get some answers related to your professional objective, whatever that might be. It could be you're trying to get back to work after a layoff. It could be that you are looking for a promotion. Maybe you're looking to elevate your standing in the marketplace. If that's you, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. Now, today's topic really is how to stay positive. How to stay positive when things don't appear, at least on the surface, to be positive. Part of this, really is just recognizing that there's going to be times where things are going well and times when things are not going well. And one of the things that we can do to kind of manage that whole process is not let ourselves get too high, but also not let ourselves get too low. So the extremes is where things get, how should I say it, out of whack. And what we need to think about is when we have successes like the one I just shared with you. Yes, you can acknowledge that that was beneficial. Yes, you can acknowledge that that was something that was good, but let's not celebrate for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, this one victory. Let's celebrate this victory. Let's catalog it, and let's make sure we don't forget it, but let's move on to the next, right? Who's got next? That's why I love the book, Get Into the Game. Cal Ripken wrote a wonderful book called Get Into the Game. And he did some 6,000, 5,000, I don't know, thousands of games. He started several thousand games. That's my alarm system. Sorry about that, my four-legged friend. But he started thousands of games. And how do you maintain that kind of resilience over time? And part of that is mindset, sure. But it's also thinking, okay, yes, I'm going to celebrate my victories, but I'm going to mourn my losses as well. We're just going to put on the uniform and go out and suit up and go to the next game. Once that interview is behind you, what's left to do? Other than follow up, send a thank you letter, do your part, yes. But what is there left to do other than go find another interview? Okay, so Simon Sinek actually is doing another, interestingly enough, he's doing another book club. And this is on his other book called Infinite Game. So he's doing a redo on Start With Why. And he had a book club for that. And it was so successful. And I think he enjoyed it a lot that, he decided, let's do this again. Let's ring it up again and read my other book. Which is genius, by the way. He's probably selling lots of copies of the book. Not that that's his intent, but I'm sure it's there to generate revenue so he can make sure his people continue to have jobs, especially as a speaker, right? You're having to find creative ways to keep the business, the business going. But so the idea behind the Infinite Game is how do we look at this not as a win or a loss, but as a way to perpetuate the game. And if we can approach our job search that way, that even though we've gotten an offer, even though we've maybe started a new role, how do we take the next step? What is the next step in our infinite game? And I think that'll change your perspective on a lot of things, that the highs and the lows can be tenored by some middle ground. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Good. Well, I got some more affirmation. Your LinkedIn advice and hacks are definitely helpful. I didn't realize until my job search started in January that LinkedIn was so important. Yes, it's like a search engine for networking connections. I think it's fantastic. It's a great way for you to have an opportunity to meet with other people. Okay. Good. Abilene. Yeah, good. So a Maryland native, Cal Ripken. That's funny. Yes. Baltimore Oriole. You probably know Cal Ripken very well. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Good. So Khaldun has a question here. So I have a very good set of skills and qualifications, but I don't have a security clearance, which is preventing me from getting the job that I want. Any tip on that, please? Well, the big question is, do you have anything that would prevent you from getting a clearance? Okay, that would be the first question I would need to answer for you. And so I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not the purveyor of security clearances, okay? What that might mean is you need to find somebody else that can help you understand that process a little better than I can. So that'd be the first question. The second question is that you might be presuming that the fact that you don't have a security clearance is what's preventing you from moving on in the hiring process. And that may be true if all you're doing is relying on your resume and your application to do the speaking for you. Even in government, I know that they can't be influenced during the hiring process, but that doesn't mean they can't be influenced. You know, if people in government couldn't be influenced, then lobbyists wouldn't exist. They would simply not exist. So that means that people can still be positively influenced to consider you a finalist rather than just an applicant. So that part is certainly within your control, meeting other people that have similar backgrounds or interests, that sort of thing. Okay. Here's a good one. So how do I stay positive after many failed interviews? Many failed interviews. Well, I mean, Tim, that's a great question. And in fact, that's exactly what this person who just wrote me a note said. In not in as many words, is that he had a lot of interviews where he thought he performed well. He went through the loop or did what he could on his side and never got an offer. Okay. So I would not consider those failures. Here's the thing. The odds of you succeeding a hiring process are 1 out of 500. Okay. That's about average for the number of applicants that we're seeing in the hiring process. Okay. In the hiring process, it's one candidate, 500 candidates for one offer. Okay. So tell me, what are the odds of you even just getting an interview? Okay. Maybe that's, let's say 10 out of 500 just to get an interview. You should be excited that you got the interview. So that's the first thing. Be excited that you got the interview. The second thing is mindset. What is your mindset related to any interview? Okay. And that is, it's a conversation. It's a discussion about fit. Okay. It's not they ask, you answer. They ask, you answer. That's the definition of interrogation. That's counter to what an interview is. It's not an interrogation. It's a discussion about fit. Okay. Third, right, is that every conversation has value. Okay. Every single conversation has value. That means it's not a failure. Okay. Yes, you may need to do something better in your presentation. You may need to prepare more and differently, but some of these may be, they're not you failing. It's someone else being selected. Okay. So I always encourage people, if you don't get the job you really wanted, guess what? You just eliminated a competitor, probably a really good one. Okay. Because if they got hired over you, that means they were pretty good, right? Let's acknowledge that. And you should be thankful that they're no longer in the marketplace. Okay. So again, this is how you positively spin this to yourself. Why? Because I've been in those situations. I've coached people in those situations. Okay. And the idea here is you didn't fail, right? They didn't reject you. They accepted somebody else. That's way different than a failure. Okay. Monumentally different. It's them accepting somebody else, not rejecting you. That means they thought enough of you to bring you in for an interview in the first place. Yes. Okay. Yes, there's steps we can take to improve interview. In fact, if you want support that way, of course, I've got that service, right? I can help you with your next interview. And I offer free consultations, 15 minutes. Just go to my LinkedIn page, Tim, and just there's a link there to get on my calendar. It's free, 15 minutes for free. I would take me up on that. And if you feel like it's a fit, then you can certainly procure the service. The other thing I would say is there's free resources on my website. There's what's called an interview checklist. And if you have an opportunity, download the interview checklist off my website. Okay. Ted, welcome. Good to have you, my friend. And he's got some advice. Thank you. You see, this is what I'm talking about, folks. Ted comes in, he's offering value. He's in the chat, giving advice to folks to help them out. That's what I want this community to be. Okay. I don't want this to be a comfortable place, but I also want it to be I want it to be a productive place of value, not a comfortable place to have a diversion. Why do you think it's on 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, Pacific time, of course? Because I don't want you distracted from your job search. Honestly, if I could do this at 0500 in the morning, I would do it. Because guess what? 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, most of you should be focused on either the job you're in or the job you want to find. Okay. So that would be my advice. So often there's a conversation that comes after the interview. I've been hired twice after being rejected in the process. Good point, Ted. Because here's the thing, because they selected you and they interviewed you, they know you, right? And that's the key, the KPI, right? The KPI for success in interviews is being a known commodity. Being a known commodity means you have trust. And if you have trust, you're higher probability to win. Now, it could be they looked at you as over here, good at this kind of stuff, but they were looking to hire someone over here in this space. Well, guess what? It could be that once they hired over here in this space, they now need somebody in this space, and they think of you as the perfect candidate for that. Okay. So what you've done, literally, Tim, is you've planted a seed. Now, the question is, what are you going to do now that that seed's planted? Does it need water? Do you need to pull weeds from around it? Okay. Now, I use that as a metaphor, but what I'm speaking of is how are you going to incubate relationship with all these people that you've had interviews with? How are you going to help them? How are you going to offer them contribution? You see, now I didn't say, what can they do for you, right? I said, what can you do for them? How can you help them? How can you thank them? How can you approach them with gratitude? See, if I come with an attitude of gratitude, how are they going to feel about me? Positively. And is that going to help me be positive in return? Yes. Okay. So that's how I would do that. Okay. So Tim, good follow-up question. Let's jump in. I mean, this is great. This is why I'm here. I want to answer these kind of questions for you. Okay. Maintaining positivity. That's what this session today is about. And in fact, if you think somebody should, if you know somebody who could use more positivity, get the link down below and send them an email. Hit their social networks. Send them a personal message on LinkedIn with a link to this session. Okay. So the follow-on question from Tim, which is perfectly valid, how do I improve communication during the interview? And my answer to that is you probably can't. Okay. You probably can't. The interview is not the place to practice. The interview is the place to perform what you've already practiced. Okay. So the bigger question is, how much time are you investing in the preparation? I'm a firm believer in the 10-to-1 strategy, 10-to-1 philosophy, whatever you want to call it. If I have a 1-hour interview with the talent acquisition people today, I'm practicing my answers out loud for 10 hours. Okay. You heard me right. Practicing 10 hours out loud with another person, with my cell phone, on the video cam. Okay. I'm practicing verbal answers out loud in the format with which I'm going to be presented. Now that could be a Zoom. That could be a phone call. Okay. All of those things are valid, But that's how I'm going to improve my communications, is through the practice, so that when I'm at the interview, I can just perform and I can focus on what they're saying rather than what I'm going to say. Because many times we get wrapped around the axle, if you know that metaphor. We get concerned about the words. It's not about the words. It's about how you deliver the words with your nonverbal communications, with your voice, with your pace, with your intonation. These are all things, by the way, that you can learn by practicing them. And one of the great ways to practice is in a place called Toastmasters. So, Tim, if you're not familiar or versed in speaking publicly, Toastmasters is highly recommended. Highly recommended. Okay? Take advantage of that. I mean, I looked at it, I think when I joined, it was $35 every 6 months. Seriously? $70 a year? I think I was blowing more at Starbucks in a month. Okay? For $70 a year, I got the best acting lessons ever. Okay? Now, I say it that way because that's what Toastmasters is. They're acting lessons. They're teaching you how to act like a professional communicator. Okay? And if you can act like a professional communicator, then guess what? You are a professional communicator. You are a professional communicator. Good. You're welcome, Tim. That's why we're here, man. Why we're here. Why are we here? We're here to help people like you get clarity, move forward faster, have solutions, get results. Okay? I'm invested in you getting results faster. Okay? Faster. And that comes by what we know. What do we know? We know that the number one way to find work today is networking. And what is networking? It's a conversation. Think of it as interview practice. My networking is my interview practice, okay? And by that I mean, here I get a chance to share my story, to perfect my communication skills in a threat-free environment, meaning there's no job, there's nothing on the line, I'm not concerned. It's a conversation among peers, if you will. So good. Welcome, everyone. It's a career happy hour. Grab a cocktail, your favorite drink. I'm sticking with H2O today. So what do you say? So that's the topic for today. The topic for today is how to maintain positivity, right? How to stay positive when things just don't seem like they are, okay? Or you're beat down, okay? Now, I can remember back in the day, I was working, I think, 3 jobs. So I had 2 jobs and I was trying to start my real estate business, okay? That means I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning delivering newspapers. And when that was done, I'd come back, go to sleep, and then I'd get up and go to the real estate office. From like 8 o'clock till about noon. And then I would head off at noon to do an afternoon work session at FedEx. Okay. Why do I say that? Well, I think we need to recognize that sometimes things aren't great. And if you can focus on why you're doing it, that's even better. But the thing that always brought me back to center and helped me stay positive is having a circle of trusted people that I could talk to about it. Okay. And those people are called your network. And there's people at varying degrees of, closeness to you and your situation. But I think you'd be surprised how many people even outside that circle are willing to help you, are willing to be a sounding board, are willing to listen, are willing to offer advice. Okay. So, and we say this almost every Friday, it seems like a broken record, but if someone reached out to you asking for help, would you help them? Okay. Let me ask that a different way. If you saw somebody with a need, would you fill that need? Okay. If someone called you and said, I need a package of toilet paper, would you send them a package of toilet paper? And the answer is probably yes, right? If we see people in need, we as human beings feel compelled normally to offer assistance. Okay. So if I feel that way, When I see others in need that are asking me for help, switch the tables. Okay. Now you're in a position where you need help. Is it okay to ask others for help? Absolutely. Is it okay to put on your oxygen mask before you put on others? Yes. Okay. Let's just make sure that that's the order of operations is right there. But the idea here is how do we stay positive? We get around people. Anytime I was in front of a device in my home, which is a very comfortable, safe space, I felt isolated, alone, lonely, really. And I don't think those are positive things. So whatever you can do to get around people, coming to this thing right now is you getting around people. Going to an event on Eventbrite, some virtual webinar, happy hour thing, gets you around people. Calling your friends, your family, going right through your cell phone, A to Z, and saying, "Are you okay? How are things going? I could use some help from you. Do you have a second? I am looking for work, but I don't expect you have anything for me." That's what we're talking about here. So if I reach out to somebody and say, "I need a job," right? I need a job. And that's the first 4 words out of my mouth. What are they likely to say? Okay. What are they likely to say? Hey man, there's hundreds of thousands, millions of jobs posted on Indeed. Go apply some jobs. That's the best I can offer you. Right. And so it's not that people don't want to help. It's that they don't know how to help. That's productive. And our job as job seekers or people looking to upgrade our standing in our profession is to tell people how they can help us. Okay. I need your help. I'm looking for information, advice, connection to other people. I'm working on a project, whatever that looks like, vanity project. We talk about this on the podcast, actually. So the other thing is fill your brain with good knowledge. Fill your brain with good knowledge. So if you want, take advantage of Job Seekers Radio, jobseekersradio.com. That's our podcast. Scott and I put it together. You're welcome to download that. It's free. And there's an Anatomy of a Networking Conversation ebook there, also free. Okay. Interview checklist, free. Okay. Networking checklist, free. There's all kinds of free resources on the website, andrewbeach.com or jobseekersradio.com. Okay. Good questions, everybody. Keep them coming. But that's the idea is if we fill our brain with positive things, we'll be positive people. Okay. Let's see. What do you do for a living? Oh, that's a good one. Thank you, James. I appreciate that. Or Lewis. I am an executive career coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help people understand themselves better so that they can communicate that to other people to add value and find great opportunities faster. That's who I am. That's what I do. Okay. That's who I am. That's what I do. Let's see. Sending off speculative applications. Is that a good idea? Well, if you look at the prevailing data from most sources, specifically most of the applicant tracking systems, the software, those companies actually aggregate because their software is a service. They aggregate their numbers. Okay. And speculative, applications, about 8% effective. Okay. But they only select one candidate typically to offer out of hundreds. So you do the math. If you know that Lewis, one of the things I like to say is if you had your life savings with an investment advisor that was giving you 8% returns, was giving you 1 out of 500, how long would you keep your money there at 0.002% effective, whatever that is? It's a small number. And if you had one just down the street that was getting you 85% return on investment, which one would you pick? Okay. It's pretty common, right? Good. Well, thanks for the questions. How can you make informational interviews mutually beneficial? Great question, Robert. So here's the thing. just like an interview, there's preparation required for a networking conversation. Okay. Part of that research is identifying the person. Okay. What the company and they are struggling with. You can do that research just like an interview. It's not much different than an interview, actually, although I'm not going to practice 10 hours for a networking conversation, although it could help you, I'm sure. I'm not going to use that same rule of thumb for a networking conversation. What I am going to do is that if I'm referred to that person, I'm going to ask the referring party, why do you think I should talk to that person? So Robert, sounds like you could maybe benefit from downloading the checklist, the networking checklist. Okay. The way to make them mutually beneficial is being open to make contributions. So Robert, question for you. Are you open to making contributions when there's nothing to be gained for you? When there's nothing to be gained for you. That means if I go to an informational network meeting, is that conversation about me in the first place? Okay. And the answer is no, it's not about me. And it is about mutual benefit. And it's about me tipping the scales in their favor, not my own. Okay. And it's a paradox. It's what they call a paradox. You have to put gas in the engine before it will actually run. Okay. You can't look at the engine and say, drive me somewhere with no gas in it. Okay. It's just, it's a universal truth that you have to put things in before you get things out. You have to invest money to get a return on investment. Right? It's universally true. And the same is true with network meetings. Okay. And if I'm going into a conversation and I thought this was going to be a conversation about something in my domain, like, I don't know, leadership. Terry and I have had a lot of great conversations about leadership, and I appreciate that about him. So we can have those kind of conversations. And iron sharpens iron. It's a great conversation. But if I got in a conversation with somebody and it was supposed to be about leadership, and I find out that their child just got in an automobile accident, what is the conversation now about? Are they okay? How can I help? The car was wrecked. Did they have a loaner? Right? Did they have insurance? So what can I do to help you right now, this person in front of me? Not, hey, how can I get a job? Okay. So again, it comes back to mindset. So the mindset is, this is a mutually beneficial conversation. I need to ask questions, seek information, advice, connection to other people, and you'll never be too far off. You make it mutually beneficial by not making it about you. So that's something to think about. Okay. Like an article, I think that the person let's say, what do you say? I think that the person you are meeting with should come out of the time with something of value too. Yes. Paying it forward. So if you were to talk to most of the people that I've coached or interacted with about networking, once they get back to work, what is the number one thing they promise to do? They promise to be open to somebody networking with them because they just went through this monumentally difficult season in their life, and they get it. Okay. They get it. All right. So what does that mean? You're giving them value by allowing them to pay it forward or to pour in based on some future need that they might have. Okay. So I think that the mindset that you have is good, but don't think that you have to always be making those contributions. You may also want to come in open hands and just say, I'm ready to receive whatever they have to give me. Okay. I'm ready to receive anything they're ready to give me. Okay. Anything. And if it turns out that you can help them because you've been networking with a lot of people, right? Sometimes people get back to work and they don't have the cycles to network with 5 or 10 people a week. They maybe get one a month. And so if you're out meeting with 5 or 10 people a week, the value you have is your network. Okay. If you're meeting 5 or 10 people a week, okay, having those kind of conversations, not all of them are going to go unicorns and rainbows. Let's be honest. Not all of them are perfect. So you're welcome, Terry. I appreciate you too. So question for Mina. Mina, good to have you back. How do you get time from a well-meaning but very busy contact? They intend to be of help but are very busy. How should one go about with this? certainly there are challenges with getting on people's radar. Now, sometimes though, we have to recognize that the way we position ourselves makes a difference. And so if they know me a certain way and I'm seeking employment and they think I'm a job seeker, what are they seeing me as? They're seeing me as a complete waste of time. Okay. Go to the website, apply for a job, let me know which one it is, and I'll put my word in. I'll put my thumb on the scale. Great. That's all tactical. Okay. That's all tactical. So recognize that you may have to reel that back in, if you know what I mean, and change their listening for you. Yes, I'm looking for work, but no, I don't expect you have or know of any opportunities for me. I do appreciate the kindness you've shown me to back me up on that. But I'm really looking for information, advice. You see how this is a broken record? Information, advice, and connection to other people. Okay. Now, I understand your interest in trying to move me more quickly forward and to certainly save yourself some time. But let me ask you this. Does everybody have 20 minutes to have a conversation? Do you have 20 minutes today to have a conversation with somebody else? Robert, do you have 20 minutes to have a conversation with Terry? Terry, do you have 20 minutes to have a conversation with Mina? Mina, do you have 20 minutes to have a conversation with Tim? All these people are in the chat. Take you 5 seconds to send them a connect request and say, hey, Tim, would you be okay? 20 minutes. I'd love to have a conversation with you. See how we can help each other. How long would that take? 5 seconds, literally. Doesn't take very long at all. Okay. So yes, people are busy. Yes, people want to help, but no, not everybody will. Okay. Not everybody will help. So by thinking that this is a zero-sum game, that everybody's going to say yes, you just go on to the next one, right? So part of this is we don't reach out to anybody because we don't think they have time. And that doesn't help us. So the mindset is everybody has time. Okay. So let's not say they're too busy. Let's say everybody has time. Everybody has 20 minutes in a day to spend in conversation with somebody. Okay. We just need to give them a compelling reason to do so. And the compelling reason is paying it forward and the quality of your relationship. So if it's somebody you already have a relationship, even better. Maybe it's just saying, hey, I only need 15 minutes. And then live to the 15 minutes. Okay. Part of this is if every time you talk to that person, the conversation goes 45 minutes to an hour, how likely are they to say yes again? Not very likely. Okay. So we have to think about the context of that relationship as it stands today. And why would they do this in the first place? Well, because they're a family friend. Okay. They're a family friend. As a family friend, do you have 15 minutes just to have a conversation? I'd like to share some thoughts with you, get your perspective. Would that be okay? Right? So the reason I can say these things effortlessly is because they're not the first time I've said them or coached them. Okay. So keep that in mind. I do appreciate that. Terry, I thought I saw you in here earlier. Did you have something you wanted to come in and say or share? Or I'd certainly like to know about your employment status. I don't think I saw you this week, so I'm sure something was going on. But you can click the link. Let me put that back in the chat again. If anybody wants to come on live, you can do that. I'm happy to talk to anybody live. Okay, let me go back to LinkedIn and put that in the chat again. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's in the chat. Again, it's Career Happy Hour. It's Friday. It's an opportunity for us to share and support you, those folks that are looking to elevate your career or your job search stuff. Hey, there's Terry. Let me get my headphones on, Terry. Hang tight. I'm coming. Hopefully we don't get an echo like we did last time. In fact, I think there was a setting here, wasn't there? Let me sure that the echo cancellation is on. Yeah, audio processing is activated. All right, Terry, let's make this happen.
All right, hold on a second. We've got some extra backlighting. Hang on.
Yeah, so it's okay. I'll cover for you. Now I'm in the dock. Yeah. So, okay, everybody, that's Terry's basement. It's really
Yep.
fancy.
That is the basement lounge at Smith Casa.
Yeah. So, Terry,
Andrew,
it's good to see you, my friend.
good to see you too. Sorry I missed Wednesday.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens.
Yeah. You know.
What's you appreciate what? What do you appreciate?
Well, first of all, I appreciate your observation about our conversations about leadership, and I certainly hope we continue to have those for a long, long time. And by the way, I haven't been sitting here pounding away on sending invitations out to people, but for whoever's here, feel free to ping me, and I'm happy to connect. I know one person already has, and I'm happy to have conversations with anyone in the group today. So please feel free. I'd really, really appreciate that. Just to let people know that don't know me. So I've been in the HR world for, as you can probably tell, a long time. And I have, covered the entire gamut of human resources, but I've been a staffing person primarily forever. Staffing leadership, talent acquisition, talent management, all that stuff. So that's just a little bit about me. So, Andrew, you were asking about, you made a side comment about employment status. So literally, just to let you know, as we've been having the conversation today, I got the final thanks, but no thanks from the group that we were talking about. So that was
they accepted somebody else.
They accepted somebody else. Yeah, very disappointing. And I was very complimentary to the recruiting staff that was working on this. They really did an amazing job, especially given the fact that they were trying to stitch together leaders from literally 3 different parts of the world, right?
Wow.
And so pulling that together, creating an interview cycle and so forth, all very, very efficient, very effective. Just not the ending that I had hoped for. So.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Well, yeah. And I mean, so looking back, retro, what could you have done differently?
Good question. So the whole thing started with a personal connection, a colleague of mine that I have to reach out to and let him know now that, led to a really, really good conversation with the global head of talent management that led to a sequence of interviews with the people in the in the position lane itself. The only thing I can think of that I might have done differently, and it was actually kind of a problematic thing based on a conversation that I had with the recruiter. I could have probably, once I was done with each of the interviews, I sent email notes to the folks through her, which is what she recommended. And I could have probably, reached out to each of them on LinkedIn. Might still do that, just for the sake of networking. And I didn't do that. So whether that would have tipped the balance or not, I don't know. But that's the only thing I can think of, really. I mean, I even went to the extent of, in preparation for the meeting with the hiring manager, since this was an executive level position, I went to the extent of designing a 90-day plan that I sent to him and said, this is how I would approach, without knowing anything about how you all do your onboarding process. This is how I would probably do it. And these are the things I would look at. And I broke it down in a very detailed format for the first 4 weeks, and then a less detailed, and then a less for the, next 2 months thereafter. Very in depth. I put a lot of work into it. It's like that, extra credit. Nobody assigned me to do this. I just wanted to show them that this is something that I was really thinking through. Maybe that was too much. I don't know. But in any event, it didn't go. And in my email back to the recruiter, I asked her very specifically, is there anything that you would recommend or things that you would suggest that, as a result of this experience and the feedback that you got, that would be helpful for me in my forward motion elsewhere? Mm-hmm. And I had developed enough of a relationship with that recruiter that I felt like I could do that, right? And that, that it wouldn't be taken the wrong way. So it'll be interesting to see if she responds to it, and if so, what she says. So we'll take it from there.
Well, so, if I looked at all the KPIs, right, the critical success factors to what I would consider putting yourself in a good position for success, you probably checked all the boxes, right? You had an internal reference, right? You had a champion inside to a certain extent, right? You did all the preparation. You created a 30, 60, 90. Now the role is, hey, let's mourn this loss and pick up ourselves and go to the next one, right?
Yeah.
And so how do we let our yesterday not affect our tomorrow?
Well, so what I've been doing is I've been kicking up a lot of dirt, over the last, not dirt, but a lot of dust, right? I've been applying to some positions that have come to my attention through various means, and I actually had a first interview this morning with another group that I think went very well, and it sounded from the recruiter's point of view that there was a lot there, and there was a lot of connectivity between what this group is looking for and what I do. I mean, a lot of it. And so, I am hopeful that when we connect by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, that it will be for the next step. So, and then I've got, a number of other things that I've reached out on. I've really been working on the angle of, and I want to emphasize this for everybody on the call. I've been really working on utilizing the capabilities of LinkedIn. So as an example, I was about to post a question to you, and so I want to get your input on this. So there's a role that I applied for that has been open for a few days. And so in my research on the organization, I come to find out that there is a person in that organization who shares over 30 connections with me on LinkedIn, but we are not actually connected. It is likely, based on her title, that she would be the hiring manager or certainly in the loop, okay? And so she's a VP, it's a director level position, same department, same functional area. So it stands to reason there's a connection there somewhere. So my question to you, and for the benefit of the team here, is what would be the best approach to that? I mean, I've thought about the idea of just shooting her a connection note that basically says, hey, we've got like 30 people that we know in common in the local area. It's kind of crazy that we're not connected, so let's connect, something along those lines, just to kind of break the ice a little bit. And then if she accepts it, then, follow up and say, and by the way, there's this really interesting role in your organization. I suspect you're involved in it somehow. I'd love to find out more about it if you have the time or the opportunity. Something along those lines. What do you think about that?
So in this case, I'm just not a huge fan of the reactive strategy.
Yep.
Because it has a law of diminishing returns. So if, for example, locally here, if Nike's on your list of companies, and every time you're reaching out to people at Nike, all you're doing is saying, hey, I'm interested in this role, that can be fatiguing and problematic. Let's just acknowledge that. Okay. So there is a danger to the reactive strategy and the full court press after an application. Okay.
Right.
So that means it's probably better that you reach out to the 30 directly, the people you already know, and say, hey, and I'd start the one that I have the most trust with, right?
Yeah.
Closest relationship. And say, because asking about a stalking question, right, that's what it is, you're stalking their connections, isn't weird for that relationship. Okay. It's weird for the people that you have outside arm's length.
Yeah.
Which means, there's no shortcut to a place worth going. That's my opinion. Yeah. And if I approach this organically through my connections, that's way better than me showing up by myself.
Yeah.
Now, could it be that you go through the 30 and you don't get anywhere? Yeah, that's possible. But you already made the application. And one method could damage your chances and the other could not, could potentially benefit you. And you probably know which one I'm talking about.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So that's how I'd handle that. Now, your approach is not wrong. It's just reactive. And so let's recognize that the odds on our reactive strategy are going to be lower than proactive. And proactive is, hey, I've got this company. I'd really love to work for them. I established why. I'm going to approach these people whether they have a position or not.
Yeah.
Because I have my why, right?
Yeah.
I think you have a why. I just haven't heard it yet on the call.
Haven't heard it yet on the call.
What do you believe?
So is that a tee up?
It might be if you want to take advantage of it.
Well, so my why, why I do what I do. I actually had a chance to have this conversation this morning, as a matter of fact, my branding statement, if you will.
Hang on, Terry, though. What is that the first time you used it in an interview situation?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No, but because the question was exactly that. Why? Why are you interested in this? And my answer to it was, look, I've been doing what I do for a long, long time. And what I've learned about myself is that there are certain things that I value. I value helping people in the organizations they work in to get better at what they do and to develop themselves professionally and personally, and to, by definition, because they're doing those things, to help the organization succeed, because they're continuing to get better and better at what they do. They're developing capacity to be able to go to the next level, all the things along those lines, right? And, and that's very much in this particular meeting this morning, that's very much the kind of skill set they're looking for. But that's my why, right? That's why I like to do this work. I like to help people be successful in their careers, and it's a little bit about change management. It's a little bit about talent development. It's a little bit about, employee relations, it's all a little bit about, how do the extrinsic, rewards tie into all that. Those are all the things that I find value in. So that's my why.
Gotcha. Can I make an observation, Terry, that I think might be helpful?
Sure.
Just we're talking observations, so
right.
take what I say in the nicest of ways. But for those of us that are up there in age, if you know what I mean, and you probably do, when I hear someone say, I've been in this business a long, long time, I've got decades of experience, right? Do you hear what you're saying, and do you know how that's being perceived at the other end?
Yeah, it's a good point.
And
very good point.
I think what you're saying is valid, and I know that you have the experience, and I know you would be a great candidate for the company, but my gut says something different, right? Maybe you're just a year and a half from retirement. Maybe you don't have the juice anymore. Maybe your experience is dated, right? So now I've got this bias mechanism operating in my mind, and I don't know where it come from, but you activated it.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yep.
So it's something to think about. Okay.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, in fairness, I didn't get into the whole decades of experience thing in the call this morning, or I've done this for a long time. But what I did say was what I know about myself, based on my experience, is this.
Good.
So, I mean, again, I'm being maybe a little bit more relaxed in my presentation because this is a little different setting. I
get it.
Cocktail in front of me.
My agua.
My agua, exactly. This would be my Kirkland sparkling. But yeah, I get what you're saying, and it's a tricky balance. It's going to be a tricky balance going forward because there's obviously, particularly now, there's a huge amount of competition out there. There are people that have runways that are 20 or 30 years from now. I've probably got 10, but I mean, you can do a lot in 10 years. You can change the course of mighty rivers in less time than that.
Yeah. Well, look at, what was it? Colonel Sanders, right? That's the one that always comes up.
Right.
Or Moses, if you want to go back farther,
I don't age myself too much,
yeah.
But another person that I look at is somebody like Winston Churchill, right? I mean, he achieved a level of, he was a unique individual anyway, but he achieved a level of impact in the world, orders of magnitude beyond where he had been late in his life, right? So there you go.
Right. So the challenge that us older guys and gals have, though, is we're dealing with let me put it this way. I try to do it different ways because I was going to say it one way, but I want to say it a different way. we're dealing with perception, and that person's perception is their reality. And when we're dealing with perceptions, there's things we can do to either confirm or not their perception. Right. And so if we're starting from a disadvantaged place, which is what bias is all about, doesn't matter if it's age or anything else, right? Yeah. Then we have to do things that don't confirm it, which puts us in a negative position in as relates to a hiring process.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Well, that means I need, if they think that aged, if that's the thing we're dealing with, means you don't have enough energy, then what? I need to come to that interview with a what?
With a high level of energy.
Right? A little more enthusiasm.
Right.
To demonstrate that I do have the juice. Okay? If to them, aged means outdated, then I know how to approach that. Right? Yeah. So now I can deal with each of these bias mechanisms in my answers and the way I present myself. Mm-hmm. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Good.
Wow, somebody turned on the lights at the Chicago World's Fair. What, in 1893? What's that all about?
No, you didn't.
Robert has a great sense of humor. I like that guy.
No, you didn't.
Nice try.
Yeah.
So I like this. I like Nasser's in here giving us some good stuff.
Yeah.
You either win or you learn. And I like the sentiment. You're not rejected, but you're redirected.
Right.
Right. There's always a learning opportunity. And that's true. When we're talking about interview and anything related to failure or weakness or anything of that nature, we're looking at the capacity to learn and what can we deliver that way. talking about being old. Oh my word. Where's this place going? Where are we going, Terry?
I'm not sure exactly. I started with the basic question of sort of that reactive mode in terms of the individual and so forth. And I think we just took the left turn at Albuquerque and wound up, where we are now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and really this was the whole theme of today was trying to maintain positivity.
Yeah.
So if we look at all the things that we can do in a search or during a pandemic or given the cultural and social unrest that's happening today, what advice would you have for people to stay positive?
Well, I think you've hit it on the head to a certain point. Take the wins that you can find, celebrate them in their appropriate context. Don't deny yourself the opportunity to say, hey, I did good today. Whether it's, so in between that interview and this conversation, I did something, and this is before I heard from these guys. I did something purely outside of anything related to this. I just did something kind of altruistic and something that mattered a little bit to me, and it took me an hour to do it, and I came home feeling really good about it. And so, whether it's scoring an interview or just doing something that you believe in and that you hope that other people will get something from, that's a win. Take it for what it is, right? Don't deny yourself the opportunity to feel good about something.
And rack those up every day, right?
Yeah. Whether it's harvesting potatoes out of my backyard or whether it's, taking books to the local center or whatever it might be, celebrate these things. And build on those successes, right? As you find things to celebrate that may not necessarily be about finding work or finding that perfect role, what you may start to find is that there's a pattern to the things that you find joy in and that you take and celebrate as wins. And that in turn may lead you to some things that maybe you hadn't thought of before, that maybe you hadn't really considered as something I could go do for a bigger purpose, and I guess, part of it is approaching things openly and being open to the idea that, hey, there's something here that I'm not seeing yet, but I should pay attention to.
Mindset. So the mindset right now is people are always hiring. Companies are always hiring.
Right.
All companies are always hiring.
Yeah.
Right. And if I can find the right people in the right place to have a conversation, I want to do that.
Right.
That's the value of LinkedIn. That's the value of our cocktail hour, as you call it, Terry. I might have to change the name of it just based on Terry's endorsement, if that's okay. I can get your permission to change it, but
fine with me.
Okay.
Fine with me. I likely will have one after we're done here.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, after all this week, I mean, that's the whole thing is that, what are they saying? That the top quartile of job seekers meets with 2.7 hiring managers a week. Sounds like you met your quota.
Well, close. Close.
Good. Keep swinging.
Keep swinging. That's, that's all you can do is keep after it. Keep your head up. I go through that mental dialogue every morning myself. But it's what you have to do. I can get very, very frustrated with it, and I have to not do that. We all have to not do that.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So that we can be conscious of what's productive and what may not be and make adjustments.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of coaching, I think, in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
To help others be conscious of what they're doing and to make adjustments. And
yeah, absolutely.
Good. All right, Terry. Well, I hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too.
We'll see you next week.
Okay.
Bye. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us today for another edition of Career Happy Hour. You can let people know, share this if you haven't done so already with others, and get the word out. We're here every Friday, 3:00 p.m. Pacific time to answer your questions. Just a heads up, in a couple weeks, I'll be on vacation and that session will be recorded. So I do appreciate you and your participation. Leave any questions you want in the chat. Go back through the chat and start connecting with members of this community so that we can take it to the next level. It's not just about showing up here. It's about participating. All right, folks, good luck to you. I hope you find everything you're looking for in a short period of time. Take care.